So hello guys, you are welcome once again. Now in today's video, we want to show you how to upload images to S3 bucket, how to use S3 bucket. We will upload the image, we get the image from S3 bucket, we delete the image from S3 bucket. We do all this programmatically using node.js and Express, then plus Mongodb for our database storage. So now we have done the back end, and in my next video, I'm going to do the front end and infuse it together and still show you how it goes. Let's go into my video. Index.js file, that's the entry point of the root of my code. So now I have the endpoint for me to, this is the configuration, and this is the configuration of a Malta. So this is the storage. This I named the destination uploads, and I created the file name using this prefix. So now I have the file filter because this is the type of files that I want inside, that I want to be uploaded. If you give me any type of file that is different from that one, I will not accept it. So after that, I have the upload function that I created using all these parameters. So first of all, this is the logic that uploads the image to S3 bucket. So first of all, I get the files from the request. So after getting the files from the request, I have a function here that is an S3 function that takes in the files. So let's go to this function. So on getting to this function, this function receives the file. So after receiving the files, I use this function. This data is equal to fs.promises.read files. I use it to turn into a buffer. So this I turn it into a buffer. So now after turning it into a buffer, I decide to have a key that is going to, like a name. I'm giving it like a name. So I use the folder name plus the unit suffix, which is coming from the UUID that I used to, plus the date dot now, then plus the original file name. So why I did this is that the same file names, the same different person might want to use the same file name. So, and it's going to cause a problem. So, but with this unit suffix, is not going to be is going to be unique. It's not going to be the same for everybody. So that makes this key a unique value for each particular image file. So now after that, I use this put object command that is coming from S3 bucket, and I pass this parameter into it. So, and after passing it, I've created this function, which is a new S3 client. I created it and above, and I use it to send this command. This S3 client takes in my keys. So, and I'm using it to send this command into my AWS S3 bucket. So now, and I push all the results that is coming from this parameter, I push it into these results, and I also push all the parameter keys into the image key above, and I return with these results and the image key arrays. These two arrays I return with it to this part of the code. So, and this, I save it inside this variable called results, and I check if the result is true. Then I will need to delete the file names inside the uploads in this my server. After deleting it, I created another variable which I map on each of the image key on inside this result to pick each particular one and attach image key to and call it key. And I also attach a value to them, which is the URL, which is an empty string. This URL is going to store the URL of each particular image file on S3 bucket, because S3 bucket new version doesn't return with the location. So, and I need to get it. So upon getting it for every at the first instance, I store it. So after getting it after the first instance, subsequent API request will not be needed again. I've just fetched that URL and displayed to the user. So now after that, I stored it inside my database. After storing it, I return to the front end with this messages, message status, sources. I return with the results. Even the result might not be needed. I return with the I return with the result and the new image upload that I just uploaded. And if that result is not if there's an issue, if there's an issue uploading the image to AWS S3 bucket, I will still have to need to delete those files inside inside the upload here, because I don't want it to be jam-packed with a lot of files name. So I remove the files and I return with this message to the front end to be displayed to the users. So let's go to the next logic here, which is to get the image from the S3 bucket. So what happens is, upon upload, when I upload the image, I store it inside my database. Okay, first let's do this part. Let's try to upload an image so that we can be showing it the what I have done. I will show it to you guys. So this is the endpoint of image upload. So let's try to upload the image. So it's going to be it's going to be file. We call it file. So here we are going to, let me change this place to file. So let's select files. So here, let's click this place. I'm using Postman to do my testing. So for example, okay, first of all, before we do that, let's go to my AWS S3 and let's make sure that there is no files inside my upload folder here. This is the folder, there is nothing inside. So let's now try to upload. For example, let's choose like these two images and upload them. So if I click on open now, those images are already there. These two files, those are the two files. So immediately I click on send, supposed to upload the image to S3 bucket and return with a message. This is the database. So see, it has already been uploaded. Let's check, it has already been uploaded. See, successful upload, status 201, success true, and that's the results. So after results, we see the image key. So this is the new image that has been uploaded. That's image and the URL, which is an empty string, and the ID created by Mongodb. So let's go inside the Mongodb so that we can see. So can you see now we have two objects which takes in the image key and the URL. So this also has also the image key and the URL plus the ID of the one. So that's the first part of the video, of the testing, which is to upload the image to AWS S3 bucket. So now let's reload this upload folder that we have here. So if we reload it, you can see now we have two files there. This is the first file. So this is the second file. So now if you compare these two names, this you can see, if you compare these two value, this value and this value is going to be the same with these two. So that shows you that we have the images uploaded. So what happens is the AWS S3 doesn't send location again because the version 2 is going to be deprecated by, I think it's June. So that's why September. So I that's why I decided not to use it. So I decided to use the one that is going to be supported for a very long time. After saving these images inside the database, we need to fetch this image. So we'll be needing to get that image, we'll be needing the ID, which is this ID. We'll be needing the ID. So we are going to copy the ID from the database. This is the ID of the document. We copy, we can paste the ID here. You can paste the ID here. So the ID is already here. So if I click on send now, it's going to come here. I want to first of all fetch the document from the database here. So after if I try to fetch it and the image is not there, I'll send this message to the front end. So if I can find the image, I will check if the image is an array, and if it's not an array, if it's an array, I will come back with image data dot images, and if it's not an array, I will turn into an array with this one. So after turning into an array, so now I want to check if this particular place, let me show it. It's kind of a manipulation that I did in order for me to cater for the location that is not being sent. So I want to check if URL is empty string like this. So if it's an empty string, that's when I'm going to make an API call to the AWS 3 bucket to give me the URL. So and immediately it gives me the URL. Before returning to the front end with the URL, I will store it inside this database. So because I don't want to do subsequent API call to S3 bucket, because the endpoint, the function that they gave us to do this, expect us to be making an API call every time the user wants to use it, because it has an expiring time. So and me, I don't want to I don't want that to be happening all the time. So I have checked the returned value from S3 bucket and I see that the URL is always there. I cut the URL part and I store it. You removing the authorization part and I store those the value that I need, that is going to be constant all the time. So what happens is, at this point, if it's empty, if the URL is empty, I decide to go to S3 bucket with this. This is the function that is going to fetch these URLs for me. So let's go to the function and see. So this is the function. This is the function that I created to get it all the images. So we are going to use something called get signed URL. So get signed URL is going to we are supposed to be using it every time that when immediately it gets the URL for you, it's going to have an expiring time. So immediately it expires, the user will need to make another API call to AWS S3 to get another one. So another authorization to use that particular image. So but in order for me not to be doing that all the time, that's why I come up with that option of storing it after the first API call. So now let's go back to this place so that I can continue. So after getting the URL, I store it inside this result. So and I map on the images. After mapping on these images, I now check that I want to check if the key inside the response, if inside the key of this result, each of these results, which I take each of them with this rest, I want to check if the key matches the image key which is coming from this image data dot images. If the key matches, so what I want to do is, I want to, after I see that there is a matching key, I want to store the URL that is coming from AWS S3. I want to store it inside this each of the images inside the um image post database. So that's what I'm doing here. So and after storing it, I will now go to the front end and return with this one to the front end, and return with the images, with the image key and the URL of this. So then the front end can display it to the users. So and if this particular side is going to return, this S side is going to, we are going to send this if this place is not empty. That means we already have the URL stored there. Then instead of us to go and pick it from AWS S3, we just send it here. We just fetch it here and send to the front end. That's what I did there. So now let me do this example, and you see that after the first API call to AWS S3, you see this place we now have a value, and if we try to fetch again, it's going to come from this place. So now let's try to do that. So now I've put the ID there. So if I click on send, so images fetched successfully, true. So this is value. So now you can see that the image now is having the URL, which is having the URL. This is it. And you see, so now if you now go back to the database, if I reload this one now, you see that immediately I check this one, it has already stored this value inside this place. So subsequent API call, when the user needs this, is going to be coming from this place. We're not going to be making API call to AWS S3 bucket again. So that's what I did there. So now let's go to the final one, which is the delete. This is the delete function. So we are going to, this is the route. So upon hitting this route, I will fetch the ID. So after fetching the ID, I will get the particular image and document using the ID. After, if I am unable to get it, I will go back with this message. If I'm able to get it, that means first of all I need to delete those images inside AWS S3. So I am deleting it with this S3 delete v3 function that has been created inside this S3 service.js. So it's inside there. So see, it's going to map on the images that it receives. So after mapping on it, it's going to I'm going to get this input. It takes in the bucket name and also the key value, the unique name, like unique value of each particular image. That's the key. So after that, after taking in that, so I'm going to use a particular method under AWS S3, which is delete object command. I'm going to use delete object command and put in this parameter inside it. After putting it, I'm going to use S3 client are created at the top, which takes in my credentials, which are my keys, access key, secret key, and also the region. So I'm going to use it and send it to AWS S3, and AWS S3 is going to delete the image. After deleting the image, the response that comes, I store it inside this response. If there is no response, I return with this message unable to delete image. And if there is response, then there is need for me to delete that particular image inside the database, the document of that image inside the database. This is what I'm doing with this line. So after deleting, I send this message to the front end. So if there is a server problem, I send this message to the front end. So now let's do it and see how we can delete this particular document from the database and also delete it from AWS S3. So now let's check our database if we still have the document is still there. Now let's go to AWS S3 and also check if we still have the documents there. Let me reload. You see, we still have two documents. So now let's go to our Postman and do the testing. So upon getting to this place, now we are on the delete. So I'll just paste the ID of the document. I'll paste it there. So upon clicking on this send, it's supposed to delete the image and return with a particular message. So now image deleted successfully. So it returns with the information of the image deleted. So if this is our AWS S3, so if I click on refresh now, you see you are going to have 0 here. That means there is nothing inside the data in this particular folder again. Now we need to go and check our database. This is our database. If we reload or refresh the database now, you see that we don't have any document again. So that's the process of creating a CRUD operation on AWS S3, using AWS S3 for the storage, deletion, and getting of our images. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you in my next video.